let's get to the one news story, and let's have a look at the polling to start off with. As is always the case, we're not really that interested in polling about who would win today. It's 50-50. But what is interesting is even though Christopher Hipkins is a more popular leader when you do the plus versus minus, he has dropped significantly more in that plus versus minus than Luxon has. So yeah, some interesting trends to be taken out of this when it comes to the feeling of New Zealand today.
But back here, it's looking bleak. The number of voters who believe the economy will get worse has soared to the highest levels in 2.5 years. Our latest One News video.
They must have asked the question wrong, because remember, this is the government of business, that it's going to fix everything like that. Remember? That's what they told us. So the business owners just aren't being fair, obviously. They're not responding correctly.
Poll shows. As a gloomy outlook rises, the approval ratings for the major party leaders have plummeted. With reaction and analysis, beginning with political editor Mikey Sherman and the exclusive numbers.
1 year out from the election and the major party leaders are in a slump. We asked voters if they approve or disapprove of the way Christopher Luxon and Chris Hipkins are doing their jobs. As Prime Minister, taking those who approve minus those who disapprove, Luxon gets an approval rating of -14. That result twice as bad as when we asked in March.
Yeah, so that's not good, yeah? So it's got bad. But you're talking about, I mean, it's terrible being underwater, -14. But losing 7 points behind what Chippy loses, you got to say what's going on in the field of the public at the moment.
As opposition leader, Hipkins received an approval rating of +1, while not in the negative territory. It is a massive 15-point drop from his result in March.
Now, Mikey said 15 and the graphics say 16. Let's call it 15.5. I'm not sure exactly what it is. But that's a significant concern for Labour. Obviously, as always, this is just a snapshot. But if that's a concern for Labour, then National must be apoplectic that Luxon is on -14. So the concern for Labour is that that's a massive drop. It is, without sugarcoating it, from, I guess, +17 to +1. And the massive concern for National is, well, everybody thinks that Luxon's useless at this job. It's kind of what that says. Well, not everyone, but a huge percentage of the majority of people think that.
Voters sending a clear message: both leaders need to do better. Now let's take a look at the party results. National is steady on 34%. Labour dips 1 point on 32%. The Greens are up 1 point on 11%. New Zealand First maintains its position on 1 on 5%. While Chloe Swan is down. Preferred Prime Minister numbers now. Christopher Luxon is up 1 on 21%. Chris Hipkins is down 1 on 18%. Winston Peters, once again, is up by 1 on 8%.
Just remember as well, though, Luxon should be in the mid-30s, should be the worst he should be, as the 2 years into his first term, rescuing the country from the terrible last lot. So he's actually, for where most prime ministers are at this stage of a cycle, in the first cycle, it's pretty abysmal. You should be worried about that as well. If you're this close, if your margin of error to the leader of the opposition, then that's a concern. Because remember, Chewie, like I said to you last time, the person will win traditionally has been the preferred prime minister. Yeah. I can't say they've always been. I kind of think it is, but just to cover myself, if there's been one or two that haven't, has generally been the preferred prime minister. And at the moment, Chris Hipkins is 3 points off, according to this poll, the preferred prime minister, which should be a concern for National.
Do you remember when, I think it was Judith Collins, when she said, what was it? Oh, was it the party or her? As she got below 32%, she'd resign.
Was that the number? 32? I don't know if it was that high, but she said something.
It was low 30s. I'm sure she said, and it was either the party or her preferred prime ministership. She would resign. Now, she never did. But I just remember that when that was an unspeakably low number for them to hit, but she was going to stake a resignation on it.
You ready?
Am I right in that? Yep.
Collins refuses to resign even if National polls below 20%. National leader Judith Collins said she will never resign from her position, even if the party support sinks below 20%. The declaration comes as dissatisfied as the satisfaction at her performance grows in the caucus, with 2 recent polls registering a dismal result. So I'm assuming that's a story on RNZ, that she had said if the party gets below 20%, she would resign.
Right.
That's what
Okay, so
I would
I've
assume.
misremembered that.
Yeah. So there we go. We'll see who else is going to be preferred Prime Minister.
Chloe Swarbrick is up a solid 2 points on 6%, while David Seymour is also up 1 on 5%. Shane Jones steady on 1. Plenty to digest, especially for the 2 major party leaders.
I had this thought today, and I'm going to ruin this for me. 229. I had this thought today. When we hear, in particular, Winston Peters and David Seymour talking about the lunatic left fringe, these communists who should never be in charge, I think every time they say that, someone should remind them who's polling higher at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Because the way that Winston Peters and David Seymour talk about, in particular, the Greens, as being these fringe, the worst ideas in the world, the XYZ continue on. I mean, this would say to me that ACT is far more fringe, which means their ideas must be far more worse, using that logic. And New Zealand First, much of the same. Te Pāti Māori, in their conversation with Mata, said, and I don't know if we're going to play it, so I'll just repeat it, said that they are looking for 7 and 7 at the next election. They put a line in the ground, which is pretty cool. 7 seats, 7 Māori seats, and 7%. Debbie said in their conversation that they didn't expect the results they have now, I think, until 2028. And she sees that as part of sort of the growing fast problems they've got at the moment. So it's quite nice thinking about these guys putting their stake in the ground. And if Te Pāti Māori was at 7, they'd be up there with ACT and not far behind New Zealand First. We'll have a listen to a little bit of the news item now about this story.
They have the 2 biggest jobs in politics, but voters say the Chris's just ain't crushing it.
Why won't he simply admit that his government is all delulu and no salulu?
So he's just playing petty politics. We care about fixing the joint that you crashed, and we're fixing it.
Both leaders are doing the downward boogie in approval ratings.
Hate the dancing.
The public questioning if they're making the right moves.
Yeah, look, it's not really about me. It's actually about me making sure I lead a team that does the job for New Zealanders.
They're not.
Says the man who wants a knighthood, and that's it.
I don't read very much into that at all. Being leader of the opposition, you expect your ratings to take a bit of a hit.
But a 15-point drop for Hipkins is more than a bit of a hit. It's a pummelling.
Bad image.
I don't place too much store in these sorts of ratings. I think it's important that we get out there and that we listen to New Zealanders.
Luxon, meanwhile, is way down in negative no man's land.
I'm just focused on what I have to do, which is make sure I deliver for the New Zealand people, a growing economy.
But you're not.
I just hate
But
these
you're not.
talking points.
You're not doing it.
When is that going to start, Mr. Luxon? That should be the question out of the report. Okay,
You're going to tell us when?
When is that going to begin? Is that going to happen in this term, or are you going to look for that in the second term, perhaps?
And I'll make that decision in 2026.
Digging the country out of its economic funk.
All right, so let's get this thing going, eh?
Has been a bumpy road for the government, with GDP falling 0.9% in the June quarter.
The Trump tariffs create a huge amount of anxiety, and actually people don't spend
it's not
or
my
don't invest
fault,
in
Pat.
that way.
It's not.
But we're now growing
It's
again.
Trump.
The One News Variant poll asks voters for their
Just remember, guys, and I know we say this almost every time, this government would not allow the last government to use the example of external forces, COVID, as an excuse for their economic performance. So even though what he's saying has some validity, right? Obviously, the turmoil around the world that Trump has done has impacted every other country. They don't get the credit, or they don't have the ability to use it because they wouldn't let the last lot unit use it. And that's one of the things we're always going to do here. Bring you back, Mr. Luxon, to what you promised us you would do or have, and what you forced on the last lot. I think that's more than fair. And if everyone wants to argue with us doing that, I think you'll be showing your colours over your logic. Because I think just saying to them, same as the last lot, same as what you said, if nothing else, pretty fair. Economic outlook, here we go.
Economic outlook. Since the coalition came into power, pessimism had largely been tracking down. But our latest results show a sharp 18% rise in those who think the economy will get worse.
I wonder why. I mean, like, I wonder what the rationale behind this 18% jump. They don't really explain it. Maybe we need Craig to tell us why. Craig did a very good podcast a few weeks ago where he talked about why do we feel like the New Zealand economy is so bad? And the answer is because this government, through their opposition, and then partway through this term, have been telling us it's so bad. And so basically it's become a self-fulfilling prophecy. We now think it's as bad as it can get because this government in opposition told us it was as bad as it can get and have done nothing to right that ship. So on some level, the community, our society, thinks we're in the worst spot ever because this government has told us for 3 years we're in the worst spot ever, no matter where we actually are. I wonder if that's got anything to do with the steep climb. People have finally started listening and going, oh, they're saying it's bad, so it must be really bad, so I don't have much confidence. Wonder? Don't know.
Over the next 12 months.
Well, and there's no doubt about it. You know, Q2, we had the economy contract. We know we're growing again now. But the key thing is going forward.
I mean, New Zealanders are pretty fair. They'll give a new government the benefit of the doubt, and they have been giving this government the benefit of the doubt. But they can also see that the country's going backwards, and all Christopher Luxon's offering them is blame and excuses.
But what are Labour's excuses?
Pretty good
Despite
line.
the economic turmoil, high...
Mikey, Labor doesn't need to have any excuses. Labor's in opposition. What are you expecting? Like, we'll say this again. When National at the last election didn't really release any policy until February of the year of the election. So they're all saying, oh, Chris Hipkins should be doing more. Oh, Chris Hipkins, he's the quiet man. Oh, where's the policy? It's like, no, same. Next year. If he hasn't released stuff by February of next year, I'll be on that bandwagon with you. So when you say what's Labor going to do, for what reason? For sitting in opposition and holding this government to account, that's their job. That's their job, to hold the government to account, nothing else.
Unemployment and Kiwis heading overseas, critics argue Labor has failed to capitalise.
I think what people are waiting for is the policy. I understand that they're anxious to see our policy, but there's still quite a bit of water to flow under the bridge before the next elections.
Well, I just think for New Zealanders to think about Labour, Te Pāti Māori and the Greens and the woeful economic literacy that would exist in
I do not think I do not think this is the win you think it is, Mr. Luxon, because what we start to do is we think of National, ACT and New Zealand First, talking about penises and toilets as well. So I don't think this is a winning narrative, sir.
Talk about their woeful economic bloody shit fuckery. Yeah. Like, these guys gave away so much fucking cash that they left themselves in a corner where the only thing was to just lay off people and make cuts and cuts and cuts and cuts. If they didn't do that fucking lolly scramble right at the top, they would have an $8.4 billion budget surplus right now. Like, that's the level of economic vandalism that they've done. And they are, as Mountain Tui has pointed out on his social media this week, these guys are following such an obvious pathway of running down public services, crashing the economy, and leaving privatization as the only pathway out.
Yeah.
They are following the blueprint.
Right, let's keep going.
At time, I think we'd be in a huge amount of pain and suffering.
Both leaders now left with 12 months to prove they're the best Chris for the top job.
We're going to move to straight into the next part of this conversation, because it's the conversation with the minor leaders. And even though we've played it the other way around, I want you to pay attention to when they start talking about Te Pāti Māori. I'll feel embarrassed if I've got the wrong story in my head, but how they do exactly what Debbie will tell us later on they do, which is just highlight all the negatives about Te Pāti Māori and nothing else.
Mikey will join me live shortly for more on the quizzes. First, senior political reporter Benedict Collins looks at the fortunes of the minor parties, as today's numbers make it clear National Labour would need their support to form the next government.
Oh, such terrible reporting. The numbers today tell us this. When have they fucking not needed support? Other than one election in the middle of COVID, right? Every other election since the mid-90s. Well, the major parties are now aware they might need minor in every election. Every election. This is not a shock to the voting public or the political parties.
With a new MP in the House and a thumping win in the Tamaki Makaurau by-election, Te Pāti Māori should be celebrating. Instead, they've been beefing with non-Māori.
So you got all these other ethnicities.
The first thing. Debbie called it. It's the first thing. Mm-hmm. So they want to talk to minor parties about how they feel about the polls that have just come out. And the first thing they do is put up the clip with Takutai Ferris. See, it's the roadmap. It's the roadmap, team. Keep watching it. Every time you watch it from now on, see the angle they take. Sometimes Te Pāti Māori is going to be due and deserve a right rural bollocking. Other times they're not. It seems that what Debbie is saying, and I think that they're echoing it in this, is every time they give them a right rural bollocking, no matter what. That's how it feels.
Campaigning for Labour.
Beefing with the press.
You guys can thank Mikey for that one. Kia ora.
And beefing with each other.
That's a model of the leadership's way or the highway.
What do you say to that?
I mean, what has this got to do with the polling? Like, what has this got to do with the story? The story was about how the minor parties are feeling about the polling. What has this got to do with that? It's shoddy, man. It's shoddy. You know what it is? This is clickbait. This is, if you put the right thumbnail on the video, it will get more views. If you slam this party and add these sorts of things into the video, it will get more clicks on the TVNZ page. It's basically what it is, because none of this is to do with the polling. This is all the stuff that's got that Deb has been talking about that they throw at them all the time. Some of this is absolutely warrantable of a conversation and criticism, 100% with that. But every time, the time when you're supposed to be talking about polling, still then, sure.
It's a beautiful thing.
Now in need of a reset.
It's been a bit of a messy ride for you guys lately, though.
Oh, it's been a tough ride. I mean, you know, politics isn't for the light-hearted.
Do you think things are going to get worse before they get better, though, for you guys as a party?
It has to be less about us and more about those of our whānau that are out on the ground, you know, really working hard to sustain their families.
The Greens, meanwhile, climbing 1 to 11%. They're clearly pretty happy with the political outlook.
Te Pāti Māori has made a real conscious change of direction. Well, maybe not change of direction, but clear narrative. And their clear narrative is, we want to be in government. That's what the clear narrative is. We want to work with these other two parties. We want to be in government. That's what the narrative now is.
Very much so. They think the public are getting their memo.
We can make sure there are free ECE, free GPs, free dental.
But it's not all fun and games. One of their lot just threw in the towel.
It's been rough, as everyone has seen. It's been a real challenging time for us. I'm really proud that despite everything, we are still doing the mahi.
Fronting the government's position on Palestine has seen Winston Peters cop it, both at home and away.
Yeah, that's me.
But Mr. Peters is staying positive.
Hold on, blah, 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 blah.
He's nearly doubled his party's political support this year.
Well, we understand hundreds of thousands of forgotten New Zealanders, their plight and what they need to help them.
He's so good at spinning absolute shit. What he's talking
hundreds
about,
of thousands.
He's talking about New Zealand First voters, who probably because of their age are the most active voting bloc in New Zealand, and he's selling it like they're the underground. You wait till you hear from these guys. He's so good at spinning such bullshit. He's a master. You give him, if nothing else, he is a master of holding a handful of bullshit and making you believe it smells like roses. It's who he is.
Going forward.
Acts in no need of resuscitation.
It's more alive than some people in Parliament.
It's holding steady in the polls.
ACT is very healthy. I'm so proud of our team. I'm so proud of the policy
Don't go over the
changes that
top.
we're making. They are fixing things that matter to New Zealanders so we have a brighter tomorrow.
And they'll all be gearing up to win over more voters as they head into election year. Benedict Collins, One News.
We won't go back to Mikey. We'll let them have their commentary to themselves. But yeah, on some level, kind of a bit of a nothing poll, but also there is 12 months out. It is probably a point in time to go, right now is the time to start looking at what the way the country's feeling about these parties. This is probably becoming sort of active electioneering time. I know David Seymour's been doing it for 6 months already, and so has Winston Peters, because they have to differentiate themselves out from this government. But 12 months out, that's what we're looking at. And 12 months out, it seems like the message from the from the voter is not really a fan of either Chewie or Luxon, but really who else would we point at? Because no one else is really jumping up. Like, I'm sure in these pollings they'll be also doing, what about Erica Stanford? What about Chris Bishop? You know, they'll be doing that. What about Carmel Sepuloni? But that's how it kind of feels. I wonder if it sort of feels like, what it feels like looking at those results is the results are saying that there's not like a person in New Zealand politics right now that New Zealand gravitates towards and trusts immensely. I know we would say I'm pretty trusting of Chloe and that kind of stuff, but that also therefore has the support behind that person to project them into a preferred prime minister status.
Yeah, I'm going to say the usual caveat about polls, especially ones where the percentage change is so low, it's within the margin of error. Look, who gives a fuck? I think the interesting discussion here is, as you said, the preferred prime minister. We have a deeply, deeply, deeply unpopular prime minister who is seen to have an authenticity and relatability problem, and has had that problem since almost the first month, if not before. Like, Chewie should be beating him to death with his own arm at this point in those polls. And he's not getting the cut through. I saw a comment on Facebook that was like, this feels like both major parties are doing leadership chicken. Who's going to get rolled first? Now, whether I think that's fair or not, I don't know. Look, I like Chippy. I do. I think he's an authentic guy. I think he's trustworthy. But I think the lesson here is, whatever you are doing is not measuring up against one of the most deeply unpopular leaders we've had since Muldoon's final days.
I paused for a sec. I'm not cutting off your thought process. I'm just showing. Now, this was from last year, so it's not up to date. But at the same time last year, Key, Clark, Ardern, Luxon. So you can see, historically speaking, in the same... This is last year, so it'll look different now. It might be worse. It certainly won't be better because he hasn't taken off. Because, look, it's on 20. They're down. He's down here now, isn't he? He's on 21. But you can see, compared to other prime ministers at the same time, he's doing really poorly, which is why I was saying in this current point in this current election cycle, he should be doing so much better. I mean, this was February, so this is only 4 months after the election. But 51, John Key had 51, Helen Clark had 43, Ardern had 41. At that point, Luxon had 25. I suspect you'd probably see Ardern's go through the roof because of that would have been coming up towards COVID. I'm guessing it would have been 2019. So it would have been coming up towards COVID. So, but either way, even though he's still the most preferred prime minister, it's like the skinniest kid at fat camp, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm the most healthy person in this place of, people who are 300 kilos overweight. It's like, it's not a good result, even though it might be the best of today's stats sort of thing.
Yeah. So I guess finishing my thought here, I would have to sit there and go, look, the current tactic You know, he mentioned this, not the last time we had him on the show, but the time before that, when we said, hey, where's the mongrel? Where's the aggression? And he said, look, I have to be palatable to the middle, the guys that could go either way. I would say that tactic is not working.
I think he's changed, and I think what I'm seeing now in Chippy, and look, I'll be honest, I'm sort of assuming he'll be the leader at the next election. I wouldn't bet my house on it though, but I'm going with that. But you've seen a couple of times. Last week there was a brilliant question in the House. Could the Prime Minister say, is the economy now bigger or smaller than when he started this term? Brilliant question. Because it's contracted 1.3%. I wonder if they're sharpening their messaging. And I think that you don't need mongrel necessarily if you've got brilliance, like a brilliant wit or brilliant questioning. The kind of questioning, like it's the smiling assassin who can take you apart, leave you as a bloody mess on the floor, but doesn't break a sweat and is smiling at the end of the engagement. That kind of question is sort of in that camp. So I'm interested to see where they go in the next 12 months. Will they go mongrel? Will they leave someone like Kieran to be mongrel? Or will they go towards absolutely, samurai sword sharp cutting questioning in that? We'll see.
So, I mean, Labour's front row is all mongrel. You've got Kieran, you've got Barbs. You know, they're just so incredibly across stuff that National isn't. But I saw a piece over the weekend that was mainly aimed at the Democrats in the States, and specifically around Mamdani in New York, because they don't know what to do with them, right? And the conversation is, our party has become all about not losing more than winning.
Yeah.
So they're trying to minimize the things that the opposition is going to attack them on. And I think this is the same in the UK, and I think it's the same here. They're so petrified of giving the opposition something to beat them up over that they don't do anything. Give people something to vote for and capitalize on the real tangible levels of anger out in the electorate at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, people can see that things are worse, objectively, measurably worse, and also worse than the vibes. The vibes are bad. Nobody's spending any money because they're terrified of their job getting cut. They know that their workplaces that they work for are not doing well because people are holding on to their money because it feels like something it's going to get worse. That's what really crashes economies. And we've got people here that talk about making a productive economy, but clearly have no understanding of how that works. We've got a government that is still blaming unions for the mega strike that's coming, and the way they speak about it clearly don't understand how unions work. They think teachers are paid from enjoying their job. Like, it's weird. At every time somebody the union has negotiated for pay, every single minister involved has turned around and lied about how much people are paid. Like, there is anger there. And this is what our opposition parties should be harvesting. That community rage. And I think when you look at Chippy's result there, he's not capturing that. He's not giving people someone to vote for, giving people a movement to get behind. Those core things that Labour should be all over. So then who's going to do that for us? Is it going to be the Greens? Is it going to be Te Pāti Māori? Are these three parties going to start pulling in the same direction? I haven't seen it yet. I've seen some really good ideas. I haven't seen this yet. And, maybe that's why this is a nothing poll, because there's nothing. We haven't been given anything yet.